What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Who You Got with
Mellow.
Ambrado, the sports podcast where we talk your favorite sports highlights, sports debates, and sports matchups. What's going on, Mello? How you been?
Man, same old, man. Got a couple of weeks off from the job before I start a new one, so I just been relaxing. Just had a birthday weekend, amazing fight
Sure.
weekend.
Happy
Watched
birthday
Canelo,
again.
not Clint. Yes. You was actually there.
Uh,
Obviously, you're my best friend, so we enjoyed a good
we
weekend.
had a
Watching
fun
all
time.
the yeah, that was definitely good times, man. Canelo knocked out Plant. That was a good fight.
Yep. You got
UFC
saw
was
the
a good
on your
card.
birthday. That was crazy.
He got lot of pretty much out for me. That was a good night because I had Justin Gaethje, Thug Rose, and Kamaru Usman. All three win. Two of them keep their belts.
Yeah,
Loved seeing Colby Covington get dropped twice in the second round. I wish he could have put him out there, but it is what it is.
I
Uh,
know.
I don't know. It's just been amazing. Like October, November, like we keep saying, just great sports, man. We got good fights coming up in December.
Mm-hmm.
There's some wait there. We're actually gonna have to do a couple episodes for those. And then we obviously midway into the NFL season, just a little past, and
That's
a
right.
few to the NBA season. So
Yeah, that's
right, now it's just a lot going on. Obviously, baseball is done, but I feel like it gives us more chance to enjoy basketball and football right now that's coming around, man. What about you? What you been up to?
like you said, it was an amazing sports weekend. We got to watch a lot of those fights that were going on. Obviously, like NBA is going on, and of course NFL. Man, NFL has been picking up right now. Like we're in the middle of the season right now. A lot of teams are starting to like come out on top. There was a lot of upsets last week. That's why we're pretty much here. We're pretty much here to talk about the last week of the NFL, week 8, and then week 9 also. Actually, week 9 and
Mhm.
going into week 10. Really, that's what we're going into, and yeah, we got a lot to talk about, and I mean, I know that we predicted a lot of these games last week, but I mean, from what I saw, there was a lot of upsets in this week of the NFL. We definitely gonna talk about a lot of them too. I mean, you saw a lot of them. Would you expect like a lot of these upsets?
No, a lot of these games, I can imagine one of them you're talking about your team, because a lot of these games I did not expect some of these teams
Rams,
to
the
pull away
Bills
with
got,
the
yeah,
points. Bills, Rams. Is I'll be honest, not even that. There were games where bad teams are close or
mhm,
competitive against teams that they shouldn't have been either.
for
So
real.
it's a very off week for the NFL this week.
That was definitely crazy, and we definitely gonna talk about. I mean, you want to get into it? You want to get into the recap of last week? What pretty much happened? Going game from
Yes,
game.
sir. Recap on the games from week 9. Let's get right into it. Thursday night game, right off the jump. This is one of the games I was talking about. Colts versus Jets. Colts
Mhm.
won 45-30. Ain't no way the Jets should be scoring 30 points on you. What are you doing?
A lot of them
Not
were
to
garbage.
these men, they were on their third string quarterback.
True, true.
Their second string got injured and they put their third string in and he threw for 300 yards on you. How? How, Sway? Honestly, Colts were very unimpressive all around, except for one thing, that running game. Jonathan Taylor, he was a man of the hour. My man had 172 yards and two touchdowns. Pretty much 260 yards
Yeah.
of rushing on the ground for Indianapolis. Pretty much destroyed the Jets. So obviously, 15-point win is still a blowout, but ain't no way in hell I feel like the Jets should be able to score 30 points on you with a third string quarterback. And he did 27 for 41, 317 yards with three touchdowns. He had an amazing game. My man Josh Johnson, who had
Hey,
to come in for the second string White, who actually had a decent drive as well. And that's my whole point. The pass defense from the Colts was just trash. Before White got pulled, he went 7 for 11 for 151 yards and a touchdown. Both of those quarterbacks technically did great. So obviously 45-30 win for the Colts. Wentz did three touchdowns with 272, but it was a running game. Jonathan Taylor ran for 172. The rest of the team ran for pretty much another 100, close to. So it was just pretty much a running. a running game that the Colts was able to pull away with. But other than that, they were not impressive in any other aspect of the ball. Passing was under, pretty much under what it should have been, obviously. And then obviously giving up 30 points and over 400 yards to two backups is definitely not good.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was a lot. They gave up a lot of yards, that's for sure, especially a lot of yards,
Yeah.
passing yards. But a lot of them were definitely garbage time yards. Like, I mean, they were playing prevent defense pretty much all the fourth quarter. So Josh Johnson was getting a lot of open field in the middle and even around like the sidelines. That he was getting like a lot of 15, 30-yard passes in the fourth quarter, which was a lot of garbage time because, I mean, like you said, Mike White played pretty well in the first quarter. The game was 7-7 early. I actually had this game. I I predicted the Jets to win this game if Mike White would have started the whole game, and they actually looked pretty good in the beginning. They played them pretty evenly the first quarter. It was 7-7, and then Mike White was coming out there his second drive, and then he just got injured. He had like a leg injury, and he had to come out of the game obviously. And Josh Johnson didn't play that good in his first two drives when he was out there. He had that interception, really early in his second drive, and at first it didn't look like he was going to play good at all, and that's why the Colts they jumped out 21-7 lead, at that point, and pretty much at that point you pretty much saw that the Colts were going to win it because they had the better running game, like you said, and at that point once they're up by 14 points, they're just going to start running the ball more, doing a lot more screen passes and try to run the clock out, and that's pretty much what they did. Even like towards the fourth quarter, both the running backs were doing good. Hines and Taylor, actually. Even Hines had like 90 yards himself, too. So they were both playing very well. And that's pretty much who won them the game. But you're right. The Colts defense didn't look impressive. Carson Wentz didn't really look impressive most of the game, other than, he did have a few third downs that they had 2 3rd and 7s that he got them, first downs. And it looked like pretty good passes. And they kind of needed them because it looked like they were going to come back. They were down by 14 points in the fourth quarter at one point. It was 38 to 22, I believe. So it's down 16 points. So it was a 2-possession game at one point, and they almost had a chance to punt it again. But Carson Wentz got a first down from a 3rd and 7, which was a big one, and then he kept on progressing the game, and they were able to go up 3 scores again, which pretty much sealed it. I mean, I know they got the last garbage time touchdown to make it 15 points, but honestly, the game was a lot bigger impact that the Colts had than the Jets. Like, it looked like the Colts were winning the whole game, the whole time. It didn't look like the Jets had a chance really to come back to me.
No, I definitely hear you. Obviously, I wasn't competitive as in they were going to win, but for me, a Jets team on the third string quarterback shouldn't be able to put up 30 points on you. So for me, this is one of those games where it wasn't even a good showing for both teams. Well, actually, no, I'll say it was a decent showing for the Jets because right now they're still struggling to figure out who their first string quarterback is. So having their backups come in and play games like that definitely actually shows some potential. So I'm pretty sure they was able to walk away with something nice.
Is there controversy there? Between White, is there a controversy there between White and Wilson? Zach Wilson and Mike White? Because
So Zach is still injured. There's controversy between White, Johnson, and Flacco.
Flacco he was in there. That's right, but he wasn't.
They don't know who's starting this week. I don't think Flacco has a chance. I think at this point, White and Johnson already played out there with the system, and like I said, White has had 2 decent showings. Johnson had 1, so I don't think Flacco's really in the mix. So right now it's between White and Johnson. I think White's gonna get the nod, depending on if he's healthy as well. So it's just they don't know what's going on at the quarterback position right now for the Jets.
I think I agree with you that I think Mike White should start, and if not, then it should be Flacco. Honestly, between him and Johnson, I know Johnson played pretty well, but he's a journeyman quarterback.
Yeah, Flacco's run that system. Flacco should be able to run that system pretty easily.
Game manager, the guy that can just get a few first downs for you, try to get you some field goals and some running scorers. Yeah, that's what he is.
I hear you for sure. I hear you for sure. But either way, that was still a decent way to start off Thursday. Obviously, they put up 75 points together, so it was still a high scoring game, a good show out. And a lot of one team was throwing it, one team was running it, so it was still good to see. Well, let's move into the
And I
next
needed
game.
from
That's a
man,
fact. That's
I
a
needed that
fact.
from Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I actually had Hines in one of my leagues because I'm getting hit with injuries. With Hilaire from the Chiefs still not coming back, Barkley still not coming back, and I had some issues with McCaffrey just came back. So I've been using Hines, unfortunately, having to at certain weeks, and last week I did, and he gave me 20 points. So I definitely needed that as well. I
Man,
was what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no,
that
so
he definitely played well. Like, yeah.
he's been pretty decent all season.
Oh yeah,
But the next
they're
game,
definitely a good 1-2 punch. I think. Yeah.
no, they definitely are. I don't think they're the best, but right now they've shown that they can be consistent because Hines has been pretty decent coming behind them. But I feel like Taylor himself needs to get better.
Right. Right.
So
Still
next
young
game,
though.
I no, he is young, but I think
Next game.
you're trying to avoid this next game though because we're about to talk about your Rams.
I know. I am actually. I am, and they didn't even have the team that they were playing against.
Yeah, I don't even know what that was about, man. Titans end up beating the Rams on Sunday night, 28-16. That was just like the Titans had no King Henry, but it definitely seemed like that the defense had their lockdown badge because it made no sense how Stafford wasn't able to get off what he needed to get off. You know, it seemed like the gameplay wasn't good. He kept missing a lot of open receivers. It was actually a rough game to watch because like at one point they got two back-to-back picks and it seemed like the whole spirit was lost or the Rams as a team. And it's just like they just did what they had to do to keep them chain shorts the chain short all night long. Jesus. So yeah, it was definitely rough. I'll be honest, I didn't really enjoy that game much. Um, it was kind of good, I guess, to see a Titans defense step up. And obviously watch their offense hold it down and put up 28. So that was supposed to be now the new best defense in the league with the addition. So definitely seeing them do that without King Henry is definitely still promising, letting people know that they're still in the top of the AFC and they're not going nowhere. So I think that was a good win for them on both sides of the ball, but definitely not a good win for the Rams, and they have some things to figure out, man.
Yeah, I mean, one thing about the Rams is Matthew Stafford was a little bit injured throughout the game. You know, he definitely had a shoulder injury. Like you could see it in the second half of the game. He was overthrowing people, and I mean, even though like we lost, it was a close game. It was an 8-point game. You know, so the Titans didn't like really tear us up on offense. The reason why they won is because they had two, like you said, those two interceptions. They had one pick six, and then the other one was pretty much a pick six because he ran it all the way to the 2-yard line, and then the next play, you know, Ryan Tannehill pretty much ran it in, or no, sorry, he threw it to a tight end right there that first play. So pretty much two pick sixes almost, you know, within 11 seconds, 20 seconds or something like
Right.
that. And that's what pretty much lost the Rams the game. It was tough for them to come back from that. Even though they didn't have King Henry, I mean, they did have Adrian Peterson who played pretty well. Also, Devontae Freeman played pretty well for them. So they got two guys that can actually like run the ball. They're obviously these guys are a little bit older than Derrick Henry, and they're for sure not as talented on right now, like you
Right.
know, like he is. I mean, Adrian Peterson was at one point, but you know he's not the AP of old. But he definitely he had some good yards for him, you know, especially in the first half, and that's what they needed. They needed, you know, to get some first downs, you know, and that's what they were doing. They were moving the ball. Obviously, the Rams are a high throwing team, and the Titans, they were able to lock down Cup. McCourty was able to lock him down pretty well. Like he had 12 targets, but he only caught 6 receptions. So, half his targets he didn't even catch. Cooper Kupp. So right there, they pretty much won on the outside. The outside receivers couldn't catch balls. Robert Woods, he wasn't getting too many balls, and neither was Kupp, and that pretty much won the Titans the game, their defense. And Von Miller didn't play this game. We did just get Von Miller, the Rams did, but he didn't play this game yet, so he will be playing this next game coming up. So we'll see what happens with our new and improved defense. We're supposed to be the best defense in football now with Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, obviously Von Miller now. So we'll see what happens. But I just I'm kind of worried about Stafford. He has these games like 300-yard games, 400-yard games, and then all of a sudden you see a game where he throws for like 200 with like 2 picks, and it's a weird game. Sometimes, even the best quarterbacks have that. So I don't want to say, that, it takes them even. I think he's in the MVP conversation. He's like in top 5 MVP conversation. This drops him down for sure a few spots, but he's still in there. But I definitely want to see what's up with his shoulder, and if they can come back next game and win. I think it'll throw me thing.
Yeah, man. Let's hop right into the next game. Monday night we had Bears versus Steelers. That was definitely another game that was actually pretty close. A lot of people were mad because they felt like it was a bad penalty at the end to cost them the game. But at the end of the day, it was also a missed field goal. So pretty much it's the same all season, man. What are the Steelers doing? What's their offense doing? What's their identity? At this point, they specifically owe this game to their kicker. My man went 3 for 3 and pretty much sealed the game for them. So
not just the
he
kicker,
was always impressive.
also the refs.
No, that's a fact. That's a fact. As I say, the kicker and the refs basically were the high points of this game for the Steelers. So once again, not another impressive showing. I will be honest, Fields is looking a little bit more comfortable. He's growing as a quarterback. I love what I'm seeing. So it was a weird game because the Steelers got the win, which you expected. It was an ugly way to do it. It's weird because obviously their playmakers still kind of did what they were supposed to do. Najee Harris had 62 yards with a touchdown on 22 carries. Pretty much, and they had a tight end, Fearmouth, pretty much, I think, had 2 of the touchdowns.
Yep.
Yeah. So they basically showed out when they needed to keep the ball moving, or at least put points on the board. When they basically executed in the red zone, but other than that, they were pretty much kept quiet all night. Obviously, Ben. I don't even want to talk about that man anymore. Like, I don't even want. Like,
He's so boring and unimpressive to watch, right?
So yes, he is, and I'm so glad you said that because that's a great descriptor.
Literally, unimpressive to watch.
It really kills me. And obviously, this game, like I said, Fields was doing what he was supposed to do. I actually thought he had a good game. He's getting a little bit more comfortable. But pretty much the Bears on top of that last penalty. They had 115 yards worth of penalty throughout the whole game, and I think on 12 flags, and basically missing that field goal at the end. Could have gave him a chance to win that game. So it wasn't just the penalty, but yeah, that penalty was a weak call. It wasn't because he bumped into the ref. That was for the taunting, but still, either way, that wasn't. It wasn't really a good.
It wasn't a good look for NFL. I don't think. It wasn't a good look for NFL.
Getting ridiculous, and that one cost an actual game, and everyone's saying it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think you're right that the ref, he did obviously gave the penalty for the taunting, not for the bump. But I mean, when you slow down the tape, it looked like the ref kind of gave him a hip check a little bit. He gave him a little bit of a hip check,
100% gave that man a hip check. My man backed it up for him to get his whole way.
I didn't like that at all. If a player did that to a ref, that's automatic suspension, automatic, ejection out the game for sure. And, obviously the ref has the power to change the game, change the course of a game. And I feel like that definitely changed the course of that game. at that point, it was obviously a third down, and that would have made it into a fourth down, and with a penalty that changed everything. Brought it to a first down, um, and gave the Steelers a chance to win the game. I definitely think I agree with you about Justin Fields. He played really well this game, and like the last two games I saw him, even last week when he played against Sam. Both weeks. I think that it's really good to see, that from him. I'm definitely seeing a lot of growth from him, which is good. Definitely want to see that. Also, they're not just throwing like short passes. They're letting him actually air it out now, and you see like he actually has an arm. He threw it deep a lot, and he actually does have a nice little arm on him. And especially watching him try to come back, especially try to get a touchdown, that was great for me to watch. But I think you're right about the Steelers. Like they have no identity. It's still just Big Ben doing short passes like that are 10 yards and shorter, nothing impressive. Staying in that pocket too long sometimes, and he just gets sacked. Najee Harris is a bright spot for me. He definitely is. He did have the 22 carries, but he also had like 4 receptions, which is good to see. So he definitely had the ball in his hands a lot, and he's just a rookie. So it'll be interesting, once he grows into that role, how he's going to help out. But I think that, I don't know if I know that the Pittsburgh, they're like winning a few games here and there now, but I think it might be time for Mason Rudolph, man. Just watching Ben out there, it's like so unimpressive. And sometimes he just makes like mental mistakes. Like he'll just throw it. He had an interception that it was just a mental mistake in the third quarter. It wasn't even like the guy definitely ran the right route. It's just that Ben threw it a little bit behind him, and the corner was able to jump the route a little bit and grab the ball. So it was definitely like a mistake on Ben's part.
That's a mental mistake. I think his mental IQ is the only thing keeping him relevant. He just keep forgetting he don't have the fucking arm he used to.
True, yeah, it's not definitely doesn't as fast.
And it does not have the zing on it that it's supposed to, and he's missing his receivers badly.
He is, yep. That's one thing I've definitely been seeing. The receivers definitely been having to like outstretch to get balls.
Yeah, Mayfield out there.
Mm-hmm. And
quarterbacks in that.
Yeah, but he's turning into a game manager, kind of like Joe Flacco when Joe Flacco was able to win the Super Bowl. Like that's what, or kind of like Alex Smith. What Alex Smith used to be. That's what he's turning into.
I don't even think that, because I think game managers can at least put the ball on the mark when you need to an open receiver, and I don't know how he's been doing that consistently anymore.
He's not past 15 yards. Like if it's past 15 or 20 yards, I don't think he's doing that. But
a game manager needs to be able to make plays when needed, not often, but when needed. And Ben is not making any plays. Like besides Najee Harris and the tight end catching the 2 touchdowns, no one else was impressive. Ben literally threw for 205 yards.
They still got Juju in there. He's definitely not making great plays still.
Like where is he? Like they actually got a decent receiving core right there. And no one knows what's going
James
on.
Washington, who's nice. That guy James Washington, he's nice. I like him. And Ray McLeod, who used to play for the Bills. I like him as well. He's a punt returner, plus he does like some a slot receiver type things. So they got like some receivers out there. Just like you said, Ben is not putting the ball deep, and he's not able to get it like on target. And that's the problem. I feel like he might be able to get through this season, and right now they're in the thick of it right now. They're 5-4, and you look at Cleveland's 5-4. Obviously the number one in that division is the Ravens right now, but even Cincinnati in that division is fighting for a spot. Like everyone in that division is above 500 right now, so that's probably the toughest division in football. So I don't know if they're gonna be the odd man out. I think Pittsburgh.
I think they are, and at this point, they're just pretty much standing around looking stupid, hoping they can get a playoff spot. And they're not going to do enough to barely make the playoffs. And at that point, even if they make the playoffs, they're not going to do enough to win any games.
I totally agree. They're not even going to win a game in the playoffs, even if they make it right now. Even though I saw some good things from their defense in the first half, in the second half, like everything pretty much derailed their defense. The running game and the passing game derailed their defense. So I'm not seeing like a playoff contender. I'm not even, like I said, that's the toughest division in football, and they still got to play, each one of those teams at least once. So I don't see them even make the playoffs. But right now they're 5-4, so I guess we got to give them some credit. I mean, they definitely won some games, lucky. Like this one, I definitely thought that it was a lucky game for them because of the ref, and I will say that for sure. I'm sticking to that.
No, they're pulling out games that you wouldn't think they'll pull out. So I definitely hear you. They're one of those teams that they shouldn't even be over 500, but hey, they are. But
I mean,
at this
they beat
point,
Cleveland last week, 15-10 too. That was like a weird game as well. Like they're beating some, teams that, you, you just didn't think that they would.
right. So yeah, no, that's definitely I don't know. Still, at this point, both their seasons are over. Steelers and Bears.
Yeah,
So
I think the Bears for sure. But I think now you just gotta let Justin ride it out and let him figure things out. I think he's, like we said, he's starting to play better. So yeah.
no, for sure, for sure. So those are our three primetime games. Obviously, Thursday, Sunday night, and Monday night. But we still wanted a couple other games we want to go over. The next game I want to go over is actually just an embarrassing game all around. Packers versus Chiefs. 13-7 win by the Chiefs. Obviously, Packers didn't have Aaron, which is the only reason why I think the Chiefs won that game. Obviously, Chiefs did absolutely nothing, only putting up 13 points on the board. Mahomes threw for ridiculously low, I think, 166?
Yep.
Pretty much the whole Chiefs had 237 yards total offense the whole game. Absolutely disgusting. Basically, at this point, I have no more faith in them. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't understand what the fuck happened.
Wow, you serious? He lost faith in Mahomes.
I know, team. Mahomes has literally had a ridiculously bad year. Seemed like that O-line's not doing anything. They have no running game. Without no running game, seem like they can't rely on Mahomes, and I don't understand why, and that makes no sense. But the only reason why they won that game is because they basically, it literally, like their stats are proven they applied the most pressure they ever applied to a quarterback.
Right.
And that's because it was a rookie quarterback, and they kept Love on his fucking toes all night. And clearly, obviously, they would never had that defensive scheme if that was Aaron, but it obviously worked for Love, and they literally got them a 1-touchdown win in a 2-touchdown game. Like it's just ridiculously sad. I don't know. At this point, Love tried what he could. He only threw for 190. You know what I'm saying? Both teams pretty much didn't really look that impressive, but obviously, this is another game where it was even a worse look for the Chiefs and another win. And it seems like even the ones they win don't look too good. So at this point, even if they make the playoffs, I'm almost giving any team to beat them. You know what I'm saying? Like if they make the playoffs against the freaking I'll give the Titans a chance to beat them without even Derrick Henry at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like they're just not looking too good. I can't trust them anymore. They're giving up everything. I think that put them over 500, but barely. Obviously that's not what a Super Bowl conference champion should be doing. So I don't know. I would say Super Bowl conference because they didn't win last year, but they still won their conference. But either way, 2 years in a row, that shouldn't be what your team is coming back to when you basically brought back the same thing.
I agree with you. This was definitely not an impressive win, by Kansas City. And another thing I agree with you with is that if Aaron Rodgers was playing, then 100% that obviously the Packers would win this game if Aaron Rodgers was playing. There's no way that they would lose. I definitely think that, I saw some good things from Kansas City. Their defense played pretty well against a guy that they didn't have much film on. In Love, they definitely he definitely missed a lot of throws too. I definitely saw like a rookie quarterback, even though he's not a rookie, he's a second year. But I definitely saw like a rookie quarterback. He just didn't look impressive to me. I don't know what they're seeing in him. I did see some things that he was doing like in the third quarter that looked okay. Like he was definitely looking more comfortable in the pocket. He was able to like run around and throw on the run a little bit more. Jordan Love was, but I'm just not seeing why they drafted him that early as a first rounder. He looks like a third round talent to me, honestly. That's just what what I'm seeing. I'm not obviously NFL scout or NFL, you know, guru, but I do know like quarterbacks when I see them, and I just didn't see the talent as a first round talent. But we'll see. He's got time to stay on the bench for now. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers still going to be the starter when he comes back. As far as the Packers, they got lucky this week. Obviously, the Rams lost, so they're still in that number one seed for the playoffs. They're still like up there for that. As far as the Chiefs goes, their defense look impressive, but their running game is not looking good. Damian Williams is not running the ball good at all. They need Edwards-Helaire back. I think, like you said, the Mahomes, this is definitely one of his worst games ever, honestly. I don't know if the NFL just figured him out or if because a lot of people are thinking that he's just doing the same things, but people are just starting to figure it out. For me, I think that the offensive line is not as good, so he's just not getting as much time in the pocket. And guys are just not getting open. Hartman and Tyreek Hill are not getting open right now because he's not getting enough time in the pocket. He's only getting 3 seconds where he used to get like 5 or 6. So that's definitely a problem for them. I'm gonna wait and see about the Chiefs because I do think that they could fix things right now. I saw some good things on defense, like I said, and if they get Edwards-Helaire back and he starts running the ball decent. Honestly, I don't see why they couldn't get into the playoffs and scare some teams for sure. Like I actually have them winning against the Titans. If they were to play the Titans in the playoffs, I think I could have the Kansas City Chiefs winning that game, honestly, with Edwards-Helaire. If Edwards-Helaire played, especially without Derrick Henry, I think that would be a toss-up for me. Now other teams, if we're talking about like the Bills or if we're talking about, somebody like the Ravens, then honestly, I don't know. I think that those teams would probably win against Kansas City, but I still got to wait and see approach on Kansas City until they get Edwards-Helaire back. Their defense is starting to play a little bit better, so we'll see as the season progresses. I know that, obviously teams like Denver won this week, and they're still up in that race with them in the playoffs, but I think by the end of the year, Denver's definitely going to go back down to earth, and Kansas City is going to move a little bit up in that division. They definitely have a tough division too as well, with the Chargers there in Oakland, who's playing pretty decent as well.
So with that, I don't think the defense is actually impressive. Like I said, I just think that obviously they went up against a young quarterback in Love. But other than that, they're unimpressive on all sides of the balls for me this year. And that's basically what's been the issue and why I have no faith in them. The defense was always trash, but now the offense is trash as well.
True, but they only allowed 7 points, which is definitely something to look at. Obviously this whole year they were allowing a lot of points. That was their problem, is that, they were scoring points too, but they were allowing a lot of points. That's how they were losing games too. And I mean, this game, at least you saw them, 7-point game is to keep it at that is pretty good for a defense, even though he's a young quarterback. He didn't look impressive either.
No, that's for sure. But yeah, I don't have no faith.
I know that you don't believe in Patrick, but I believe in him still. I still believe in Patrick.
I don't believe in that whole team. It's not just Patrick.
Yeah.
Like it's not if anything. He's the one that can change it, But I don't believe in none of them right now.
I mean, maybe up to this point, maybe, but I'm starting to see some things that I like. And honestly, like imagine if there were a 6th seed in the playoffs. Like, how scary that is. Kansas City is a 6th seed or a 7th seed. Like what?
Home games.
Yeah, it's not gonna be home game. That's for sure. You're right. No home game. That's where they play the best is at home. But I don't know. You're right though. They like this year. They actually are like terrible on the road. I think they lost every game on the road they played. So they play a lot better at home.
Now, so I want to move on to the next game. OT thriller. Basically, Ravens versus Vikings.
That was a nice one.
Great game for Lamar. Vikings still a mystery. No one knows what the fuck they're doing. I don't understand how they're 3-5 and they are supposed to be a way better team than that, but all their losses came to less than a touchdown or less. Like they're just giving up games that they shouldn't give up. I'm not saying this is one of them, But basically,
Basically,
this all came. It was, and that's what I'm saying. No, it really was because it came down to Justin Tucker. Basically, Anthony Barr got a pick in OT for the Vikings.
mhm.
Gave the ball to fucking Kirk Cousins, who basically only had where is he at? 187 fucking yards.
Exactly. They had a chance to win in OT.
Niggas got a 3-and-out, gave it to Lamar. Lamar marched down the field and got Tucker in field goal range, and that's all you need. So 34-31 OT win for the Ravens. Like I said, Lamar did his thing. He did what 27-41, 266, 3 touchdowns. Now, granted, he had 2 picks, but obviously Lamar is not that accurate. But he still had 120 yards with 21 carries.
He won 122 yards rushing.
So
Ridiculous.
yeah, so he definitely still did his thing on the ground. The rest of the rushing game finally helped along with 79 yards for Freeman and 48 yards for Le'Veon with the touchdown. Obviously Hollywood Brown had like 116. So the Ravens finally showed up. The defense they did all right. It struggled a little bit, but the Vikings is an explosive offense when they want to be. I mean, at the end of the day, Cook had 110 yards, even though the rushing or the passing game wasn't what it was supposed to be. The rushing game still did work. So Ravens did all right against explosive offense, but obviously the biggest story of the night is besides the pick and the 3-and-out is basically the inability for the Vikings to just get any sort of consistency going. They're literally a 3-5 team right now, and every game they lost a touchdown, 7 points or less. Like it makes no sense. Some of those games they shouldn't be giving out. You win 2 more of those games, and at that point you're over 500. And obviously they need all the help they can get. So watching the Viking team with the weapons that they have be 3-5 is honestly depressing. But yeah, still great win for the freaking Ravens, man. Lamar had an amazing game. The rest of the offense helped and pitched in and pretty much held it down enough to get the win. So that was definitely a great game to watch. Obviously it was an OT thriller, so it went down the wire. But it was just some good football. So bad for the Vikings, bad night in the office. They definitely having a bad season. Truthfully, at 3-5, you're having a horrible season. Probably one of the most underperforming teams we have right now. But obviously, Ravens they'll find another way to get another win. At this point, I think they're 6-2,
Mhm.
and they're winning a lot of close ones. And this was another one where they had to come back down by 15, or
Exactly.
14. So they're finding ways to come back recently and win games that they're down by. Obviously, that's not something you want to be used to, but it's good to know they have that dog in them, and they're willing to put up a fight. And Lamar definitely knows how to step up to the plate and take action. So I'm definitely loving the Ravens and what I see from them right now. Um, Same thing with the Vikings. No identity. I don't know what's going on with them.
Yeah, and that's where I was gonna go with it and talk about the Ravens. Obviously, this is another win that they had, winning by coming back from 14, actually 15 points this game. Another one this season. This is their third that they had to do this season like that. And
Mhm.
that's huge to see something like that. For me, I definitely agree with you about the Vikings. Like this team should not be 3-5 with the weapons they got. They got so many weapons on offense. They have a decent front four on defense, so they definitely shouldn't be this bad. They're losing a lot of close games, like you pointed out, and they're definitely tough games for them. They're losing them by like a field goal here, a field goal there. They had like three of their losses were field goals, like right at the end, like the last seconds of the game. So it was definitely some tough ones for them. But honestly, they can't win a game. They can't pull ahead. Once, and that's probably Kirk Cousins' fault. They're able to get a lot of good runs from Dalvin Cook. I think he's playing amazing this year. I think he's definitely playing really well for them. But as far as their offense, they have so many weapons. Van Jefferson, obviously they got Thielen. He should be scoring. They got Rudolph still. Like he should be scoring points. They're not able to get yards in their passing game, and that's a problem. When it comes down to third and long, you got to try to pass the ball on third and long and try to keep drives moving. And they can't do that, especially towards the fourth quarter. I'm seeing that like Kirk Cousins is having trouble. Like he's like you said, he had that 3-and-out in overtime, but he had another 3-and-out in the fourth quarter where he had a chance to win the game when it was tied up. And he couldn't do it. And I'm seeing that a lot from him. And it's not just this year; it's been happening for the last like 3 years when he's been playing for the Vikings. It just seems like he can't bring that team to a playoff spot, and even like he can't bring him, further than that. So I'm very disappointed in the Vikings, but I'm very impressed with the Ravens. Seeing them win again like this, coming back, that is what a Super Bowl team does. Like Super Bowl teams, they're able to win from behind. They're able to get a lot of obviously running yards, and that's one thing that I'm very impressed about Lamar Jackson. He had almost 100 yards of offense, 400 yards of offense with him. 266 passing and then like 122 running. That's almost 400 yards. That's crazy. So obviously for me, he moved up in that MVP conversation. For me, he's number one right now in the MVP conversation. He has to be up there for me. Obviously, Kyler Murray, he missed the game. So for me, it's Lamar Jackson up there, number one in MVP. He played so well for me. I'm very impressed. I'm impressed what I saw from Devontae Freeman there too, and from Latavius Murray. He played good there too. So both of them, they definitely played well as well. I'm definitely impressed in the Ravens.
My thing was, I'm definitely impressed, but obviously, like you said, this Super Bowl team, and I can see somewhat, but like I said, I've always said I need Lamar to throw a little more. For them to take that next step, Lamar has to throw more. But when Lamar is still getting close to 130 of rushing yards from two other backs, then the team can succeed. And that's what's been the biggest issue. Lamar is the only one giving you yards in anywhere.
Right. Yep.
You're not going to win no game. So having the other running backs basically step up, like I said, Freeman got 79 and Bell got 48 in a TD. So having them step up allow Lamar to shine a little more. And that's what I feel like if you have that type of help, then yes, you can succeed a little more in the playoffs. Because in the playoffs, they've been finding ways to make everyone else non-existent except for Lamar. And as long as you have him have a bad game, then that's it. So I still feel like I still need to see a little bit more from him throwing wise. At the end of the day, like you said, almost 400 yards of offense. So he still did a fucking thing. Like he still had 120 on the floor. But you're a quarterback. I need you to that 300 consistently. He was at 266.
Because
300 consistently, man.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I kind of want to see that as well from him, and I also want to see them come out like big in the first quarter, second quarter, and come out to a big lead because I haven't really seen that this year. And like we said, they've been having to come from behind a few times this year and win, but also they've had a lot of close games as well. They're winning games, but they've had a lot of close games too. So I do want to see them. I want to see Lamar come out strong one or two games and have that passing attack. Like you just said, have 300 yards, but hopefully come out strong and score early. That'll be another thing for me to see. But right now, being 6-2 in their division, they got a tough division, but right now they probably look like the biggest playoff contender in their division. If you look at Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh, you trust easily. You definitely got to trust them the most.
You have to. No, you definitely got to trust them the most, and it's funny. Because the last game where happened last week is actually two other teams in their divisions. And this is exactly why I'm going to show you why you have to trust them the most. Browns versus Bengals is the last game we're going to talk about. 41-16 win by the Browns. Clearly, it goes to where I'm about to say you can't trust the Bengals. They're too young and inconsistent. They're having a great year. And 41-16 win by the Browns, but at the end of the day, the Browns are barely over 500 too, so you can't trust them either, So at this point, they are the best team in that division by far. They're going to easily win that division. But they're definitely a top contender in the playoffs for sure. But might as well just hop into that last game, Browns versus Bengals. Tough division game, but clearly a spanking. Finally, the fucking Browns defense play like they're supposed to play. Yep. My man Bro was fucking scared all night. Threw for 2 picks and got sacked 5 times. Can't even tell you the countless amount of pressure he was getting applied all night. Yep. My man was scared for his life, running like a bull, like a deer in headlights. Didn't know what to do. I think he didn't even throw for 300. Obviously, they're going to throw more than they're going to run. So he still had like 40 throws. They got the short, choppy throws off, but basically they was getting locked down on the secondary and pretty much so much pressure on the front four that he had no choice, and he just kept getting the ball off where he could. Got things like 280, but no touchdowns. Didn't really get no movement going. Kept getting a lot of 3-and-outs. Couldn't march down the field like he was supposed to. Lamar was not that great. One of the first games this season where he basically couldn't show up. And I'm not gonna say where he didn't show up. I'm gonna say couldn't because, like I said, they did not give Burrow a chance to breathe. He can't hit his deep receivers or hit his receivers past the secondary where you can't even see them because there's two motherfuckers in your face at every 5 seconds. So I can't even blame the receiver for like, saying that he had a bad game. But pretty much clearly with only 16 points, the whole offense had a bad game. So yeah, Baker Mayfield wasn't that impressive. Like he really wasn't. I think he went 14. Oh my god! I just looked at the stat. 14 for 21. My man threw 21 times. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't need to though. They definitely ran the ball a lot.
Chubb had 137 on the floor with 2 TDs, so they definitely didn't need to. But
Right.
a quarterback throwing for only 21 times a game is really ridiculous, honestly.
True.
Especially when you have that many weapons on offense. But hey, they 41-16 scraping. It is what it is. But it was an impressive Browns defense when obviously we know what their rushing game's supposed to bring us with Chubb and Hunt. I think Hunt's still on, so they had Johnson playing backup. But not an impressive game for Baker. Like he came back and looked just the same. Like you can't even throw for 300 yards and you can't even throw over 20 times. Like I said, obviously I know that you have a great rushing game right now, probably the best 1-2 punch in the NFL.
Yeah.
And obviously he put up 2 TDs and 137. So obviously Chubb did his job that night. But every time I see Baker play, it's just another game where it's just like, why is this man a starting quarterback in the NFL?
Yep.
And it just drives me nuts. So now that game obviously was a great game to see on a defensive aspect. Browns absolutely destroyed that O line and hawked that secondary down. Obviously got 2 picks and 5 sacks. But now Joe Burrow still young and experienced. Obviously he got some learning to do. So I can't even be mad at him. Browns defense is one of the top notch defenses. But yeah, Browns offense once again not that impressive. I don't
Yeah.
understand how you got that receivers and you can't even find one.
I definitely agree with you that Baker did not look impressive, but I think I see this game a little bit different than you, to be honest, because I'm gonna be honest, like if it wasn't for those two early interceptions, like obviously Denzel Ward had that pick six 99-yarder, in that first, like literally the first minutes of the game, and that was almost a touchdown by Joe Burrows. Like if it wasn't a pick six, the receiver was right there. It was between Denzel Ward and the receiver, and Denzel Ward just happened to put his hands right in front of the receivers. Um, that definitely shook up Burrow a little bit. 7-zip right there quickly. And then they had another interception where they pretty much brought it all the way down to the 9-yard line, and they were able to score. So it was a quick 14-0, winning, scoring streak right there in the beginning, first quarter. And that definitely had an impact on Joe Burrow. He was definitely scared after that to throw to Denzel Ward's side. And like you said, they were getting hurried a lot. They were getting a lot of sacks. I think that this is definitely Myles Garrett had one of the best games of of the year. He had 3 sacks or 2.5 sacks actually, and he had a forced fumble as well. So he definitely had an amazing game. And I think that was the issue the whole game for them is Cincinnati's offensive line is them staying strong and protecting Joe Burrows because he was having a problem. I think that Jamar Chase didn't necessarily play bad. It's just that Joe Burrows didn't have time. He didn't have time to throw the ball. So that's what it was for me. I feel like if the first quarter, if it would have looked a little bit different, I think this game would have totally looked different. This game would have been a low scoring game. It wouldn't have looked so like one-sided because like you said, Baker Mayfield played terrible. He didn't play good at all. Like, I mean, yeah, he had, a decent completion percentage, 14 for 21, but he really played bad. Chubb was the only one that played good, and the reason he played good is because they were up by so much, and they were just able to, hand him the ball off and, let him just run it, let him get his carries. And I feel like if those 2 interceptions didn't happen, if that pick six didn't happen, and that other interception to the 10-yard line didn't happen, this game would have looked totally different. And it could have possibly even been a Cincinnati win, like a low win, where it would have been like, 20-15, 20-10. But it just happened, the defense happened to look very good in the beginning. And after that, obviously, Joe Burrow's playing from behind, so he's got to throw the ball. And once he's getting hurried from that front seven, he doesn't have the time, and then he can't hit his receivers right. He doesn't have time to hit his receivers. So that's what I saw. I definitely like what I saw from Chubb on the Cleveland side, but he's going to be out next week. So it's going to be interesting to see. He's got COVID, I guess, Chubb. So he's going to be out for 1 week. And it's going to be interesting to see without Hunt, without Chubb, what Baker can do by himself. And like me, I'm kind of like you.
100 plus.
Yeah, I'm kind of like you. I don't believe in Baker. He just lost Odell Beckham as well too, so he lost another weapon right there. So I just don't believe in Baker, even though they won this game. I don't believe that they're even going to make the playoffs this year, to be honest. But as far as the Bengals, I remember like a few weeks ago we had like this question: is do you think that the Bengals are a real contender? And even back then I said no. I think because I thought that they were just too young. They were like 5-1 at the time, and I just thought that they were just too young. They don't have as much experience, like especially being up so much, and they're gonna come back to life and come back down to earth, and that's pretty much what they're doing. And I think right now they're 5-4 as well, right? They're tied up with Cleveland.
But for me, I actually trust them. Like it's crazy because I promise you, Browns just beat Bengals. But like you said, that game could have went differently a few events in the first quarter. If you would have told me, if I didn't watch that game, you would have told me it was a 18-16 win Bengals over Browns, I wouldn't even be surprised. So I'll be honest. I'll put those two teams together again next week, and I'll probably still choose the Bengals because I chose them last week. Yes, and I'll still choose them again. Like for me, they're still better than the Browns.
I totally agree.
Still like they aren't there yet, but they definitely shown that they can contend a little bit. Like you said, it's this obviously football is about 1 or 2 plays. Like when you throw 2 picks in the first quarter, and you're down 14 points. It's whatever game plan you had goes out the window.
Exactly.
Literally out the window.
No running game. So no mixing in there.
Yeah. So I definitely see it, and obviously, like the Browns obviously have a very explosive defense. But no, I definitely still think if you give that offense a chance to make some noise in the playoffs, that they can.
I think so too. I mean,
a lot of times come down to Bengals.
Yes, yeah, I think I agree with you, especially because this is the first game that they haven't scored over 35 all season.
That's what I'm saying. They've been tested here and there, and this is probably the first time they really just got just handled. And it took, like you said, a very impressive Browns defense and Myles Garrett's best game of the year. A lot of things had to go right for that to happen. So yeah, I still think they're a lot more competitive than the Browns are at this point.
I think so too. Division. It's 2 bad losses though, as well. Like they just lost to the Jets and then they just lost to the Browns. Like they could have won both of these games and they could have been 7-2 instead of 5-4 now. But I mean that's just how the NFL goes. You never know. And
there's a lot of
things out right now. Yeah, exactly.
But let's move our conversation on to some of the top teams.
Right.
Obviously, that's the recap. That's the predictions or the recap of last week. We got the predictions of this week upcoming. But we always like to throw out a few questions out there, hot topics of the week. First question that we want to talk about is the Cardinals. Are they a real Super Bowl contenders?
Oh, that's a good question, man. And so obviously they played without Kyler Murray this week, and I mean, they didn't look impressive, but they still won the game. And for me, watching them win the game without, pretty much a guy in Kyler Murray who I still think is definitely an MVP candidate, but I don't know where he is in the top spot. Like I said, I have Lamar Jackson number 1 in the MVP candidate, and we might talk about that later. But I think watching their defense play, watching their obviously they played without Hopkins and they played without Kyler, and watching them win like that, they definitely have the team to be a Super Bowl contender, and not just a Super Bowl contender, but honestly, they have a chance to be a Super Bowl winner. I think that this year they have that much talent around them that they could possibly, for me, the NFC is very tough this season. This season is like the AFC is a lot lower than the NFC for me. There's four or five teams in the NFC that are really the Super Bowl contenders. You got Tampa Bay, you got the Rams, you got Dallas, you got Green Bay, and then you got Arizona. But I think that Arizona is probably number 1 or 2 right there.
Honestly, for me, I can give them in a high power shootout. I can give them a win over Green Bay because that defense can't hang. And I think they just barely lost to Green Bay. I think that was their only loss. They just barely lost. Yeah.
Yep.
So I would love to see that get ran back again. Yeah.
I still say number 1 because of that, but I don't know. You might be right. I mean, it was a close game, so it could go either way. It's a pick 'em, them between Green Bay.
I think that.
What about you? How do you feel about them? You think that they're a Super Bowl contender?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go with hell yes. Just like you said, not only do I think they can go to the playoffs, not only do I think they can go to the Super Bowl, I think they have a team that has a chance at winning the Super Bowl. They're absolutely amazing on both ends of the ball. They just had one loss, a close loss to the Packers, which is basically the other top team in their conference. And then they just won a game without D-Hop and without Murray. So you know me, I love my stats. Like I'm gonna sit here and look up what I need to look up. So I just pulled up all the top categories that I could find that they're in the top 10 regarding stats, per game stats, and percentages. So we got on offense, so second in points, fifth in yards, second in points per play, sixth in yards per play, seventh and third down conversions, first and fourth down conversions, fifth in red zone touchdowns, and second in just regular touchdowns. So that's on offense.
Good.
On defense, they basically are in top 10 in all those stats except for red zone touchdowns. So points are third on defense, fourth in yards, second in points per play, seventh in yards per play, second and third down conversion, third and fourth down conversion, and third in defense or touchdowns scored on them. And that's just basically just total offense and total defense.
They're dominant, but the one thing that kind of worries me is they're not number 1 in anything.
No, but you don't have to be. Just when you're top 5 and top 10 in all those categories, it lets you know that you're overall great.
Best. Yeah.
At all sides of the ball. They got third in rushes per game, second in rushing touchdown per game, 8 in rush yards, and on defense, they're fifth in opposing rush per game and second in opposing rushing touchdowns. Right now, they are sitting at fifth in completions, first in yards per pass, first in pass or yards per or ninth in yards per game. So those are your first categories.
Right. So their defense is beastie.
Yeah, they're efficient on both sides of the ball, and they're completing at a high rate. So basically, they're doing what they want to do when they want to do it. And clearly, they're 8-1. And like I said, it takes both sides of the ball for you to be a Super Bowl contender and actually have a chance at winning it. Usually, we see matchups in the last few years when it's like an offensive matchup against a defensive matchup, i.e., Mahomes going out to the Super Bowl with such bad defenses. I think a couple years ago we had Denver Broncos face the Panthers, and it was a top year's defense versus top year's offense. But I feel like to be a great contender and just make it through these playoffs, because there's going to be high power offenses all around. You need to be able to be good on the side of the ball. And in this league, everyone's improving on both sides of the ball right now. And like I said, clearly this year is showing you that a lot of teams aren't what they should be. The standings just don't look what they should look like. Just over halfway through the season.
Yeah, the standings shouldn't. But as far as Cardinals, this was definitely an impressive win. Not having their starting quarterback and their starting wide receiver, so that is definitely that should matter. And another thing that matters to me for them is they got James Conner on the squad, who's got 10, 11 touchdowns rushing right now. He's number 1 in the NFL right now in rushing touchdowns. So right there, they got a top runner as well. So they pretty much got everything you need to win in the playoffs. A good defense, good enough quarterback, good weapons that can get you third downs, third and longs, and you got a good running back that's gonna get you those goal line touchdowns that you need. And like you said, they're pretty much prolific everywhere. Those are great stats that you read out. I don't love the stat about, like you said, they're second in, they're first in touchdowns allowed in the red zone, that's huge. If you can stop teams from getting touchdowns and only letting them get field goals, then that's how you win playoff games too. So I definitely see them as a Super Bowl contender.
They already had one of the they got one of the best linebacker cores. Obviously, that front four find ways to apply pressure.
Yeah, they got
hold it down. And like I said, they don't have top notch A1 stars everywhere.
Right.
Most of them are on offense, truthfully, but that defense have slowly been creeping up, and they're
got Chandler Jones. They still got J.J. Watt. They got names out there.
Easily top three. And obviously they got an 8-1 team with a high-powered offense that has no sign of slowing down. And as long as that defense keep up, they're probably, to me, they're the scariest team in the league right now. But right now, if I have to choose a team to win the Super Bowl based off everyone's record and what they've shown for the whole season, Cardinals are number one.
See, for me, it's between them and Green Bay. It's just that I saw Green Bay beat them, and obviously Green Bay lost, but Green Bay was without, obviously Aaron Rodgers. So for me, it's between them and Green Bay.
No, for sure. And the reason why I give it to Arizona is because while Aaron's a little better, Arizona's defense is a little better.
Yeah, so I agree. I
said if it came to a shootout, it was going to come down to Aaron over Kyler, and you got to give the nudge to to Aaron. Obviously, I still wanted the Cardinals to win because they have a better all team, so I did choose them. But at the end of the day, it came down to a close game. It came down to one mistake by Kyler in the last quarter. Mm-hmm. It was one mistake, you know what I'm saying? So it obviously you got the better experienced quarterback in Green Bay, but you still got the better team in Arizona.
I agree. It's definitely the better team, but I still give it to Green Bay right now just because I feel like with Aaron Rodgers, you can pretty much win any time that you're in a close game.
You can't count him out in any game for sure.
Yeah, when you're in a close game, especially, I feel like any close game, he's pretty much just kind of like Tom Brady in a 2-minute offense. Even though I'm not a big Brady fan, he does his thing in a 2-minute drill. Gotta give it to him.
No, I hear you, but I think Aaron's took over that. If I need a win to come back, if I need one drive to come back, Aaron's taking that top spot at this point.
That's for sure.
Everyone's super Aaron Rodgers. Yeah.
But for sure, Cardinals are definitely up there for me. I think they're number 1 or 2.
Agree on that, and like you said, obviously I got them 1, you got them 2. I think given the chance for the rematch, I think they can pull out a win against the Packers. But either way,
and for me, it depends on which
team are the Super Bowl champions this year.
Right. It just for me, it depends on where they play. If they play in Lambeau, then I think I got the Packers. If they play in Arizona, I think I got Arizona.
I feel like it's weird because those teams it's such even, and it's like what makes them even is that Aaron is so better as a quarterback that he makes up for so much on that team.
He does make up for a lot.
They're still so.
This season, the Green Bay definitely has the best running game they've had in a long time. Where Aaron Jones definitely played, very well for him.
No, definitely. So definitely glad to see that we agree on that. But obviously, we got more hot topics for the week. Next one, obviously, we love to throw in the who you got. So this one's a weird one because it's not anything related to specific teams right now. But it's been a lot of talk about OBJ getting waived from the Browns. So basically, I want to ask who you got for a landing spot for Odell Beckham Jr. Who do you think is going to pick him up? There's no way Odell doesn't get picked up. That's just my opinion. I don't care what team. He just does not get picked up.
Right.
So who do you got?
So I definitely agree with you. He's going to get picked up. Now, so I mean, obviously, you do have to kind of look at the waiver order. That's how, in NFL, like when you get cut, the waiver orders, who can pick you up first, second, third. Right now, really, the Detroit Lions have the number 1 waiver option. So they have the chance to get him first. But here's my thing. I don't believe that Odell's going to want to play for them. He's just going to say that he's not going to want to play for them, even if they try to pick him up. He can't say that.
He's got a couple spots, and I think there's basically 5 big options right now. And that's
I think there are 5 options.
Saints, Patriots, and Seahawks.
I've heard of those options for sure. But I've also heard of a few more. And for me, the best option for him is gonna be in Green Bay. I think right now Green Bay has what he needs. They got a number one receiver already in Devontae Adams, who I think he's perfect to match up with Odell. If Odell could be that number two, he's not gonna have double teams on him. He's got another big guy in Devontae Adams who can actually go up the middle, and Odell could just like run fast and go down the sideline, get those passes from Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers never really had a receiver like that. The closest thing Aaron Rodgers had to like a Odell was oh man, Jesus, I'm forgetting his name. I'll remember him in a little bit. What is it?
Randall Cobb?
No, not Randall Cobb. The other receiver that he had back in the day. He went to Vikings after that. He played for.
Yo, the name is right fucking there. I know what you're talking about though.
Right. He played his pretty much his whole career. Greg Jennings. That's what I meant. So that's although he reminds me so much of Greg Jennings. How he's tall, lengthy. You know, he definitely has those arms, like the arm reach. Obviously, I think I've always thought that Odell had like amazing talent. We haven't seen that as much in Cleveland like we saw in the Giants days, but I feel like if he goes to a team like Green Bay, I think he's going to explode there. I think it'll be a perfect spot for him. A guy like Aaron Rodgers could definitely use him, and that I think that pretty much solidifies their Super Bowl win if they get a guy like him. Obviously, there's other teams that could use him right now, like New Orleans Saints, because New Orleans they're missing Michael Thomas. He's out for the year. So that's another team that could use him. But for me, the number one team for me would be Green Bay. What about you? Who you got for him? Who you think he should go to?
So before I move into my options, I just want to go over because I was while I was doing the research for the show, I was on the phone with my boy and we were just talking shit. I was talking football with him, and he happened to be on the phone while I was having this segment and going through, trying to figure out what I think would be his top landing spot. And one thing we both was just baffled by was the teams that he went to or he had a chance of going to and the number of which receiver they think he's going to be. And by that, I mean, you think that – so here's the thing. So obviously I said Packers, Chiefs, Saints, Patriots, Seahawks. Some of these teams, everyone's like, all right, he's about to be their number 2. He's about to be their number 3. And, like, are we really just saying Odell is that bad? So I think – so here's my thing. I just want to ask you. I don't know. I feel like it's a lot closer than people actually think when you have an elite quarterback thrown to you. But you think Devontae Adams is a number 1 and Odell is a number 2?
Oh, so no, here's the thing. Like, I think they would fight over that. I think as of right now, I think in this season, if he goes into the team, because he knows the playbook better, I think it would have to be Devontae. But going into next season, if they're both on that team, I think it would be it might be Odell with that talent that he has.
So that's what I'm saying. So I'm reading articles about what's the rumors and all that. And the first article I read that mentioned Green Bay, that's the first thing they said. Odell being number 2, and I'm like, number 2.
I mean, I think he's more talented than Devontae, but
saying Devontae Adams is better than Odell. So another thing,
team, it's tough going into a new team. You can't, you gotta have, you gotta, be that number 2 for now until you get that deal with the quarterback. But a team that he could be a automatic number 1 is New Orleans Saints. I think right there they don't have anyone. I think England as well. Yeah, I mean, you look at New England, you look at New Orleans for sure. I mean, the other teams like the Seahawks. I mean, him versus Metcalf. I don't know. I think Metcalf is the number 1.
So, and that's another part. So, I'm just gonna go over the options. So obviously, Packers are not only the best choice everyone would think. That's actually his top choice.
Nice.
But here's the problem with that. They haven't even extended Adams yet.
Right.
And they'll get Odell for the rest of this year, and they only have a veteran's minimum option for him. I don't no one's really talking about what he wants money-wise. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's talking about what teams he wants. But what can these teams offer? Right now, the Packers can only offer that veteran's minimum. I don't know if he's going to want to take that. But at this point, that's probably the clearly best option. But that's not even who I'm going to choose. So next, you got Chiefs. Obviously, he'll be number 2 to Tyreek since Sammy didn't work out. No one knows what Josh Gordon is doing. At this point, Chiefs has literally way too many fucking weapons on offense. Who knows if they have the room for that?
Right.
Saints. I think coming back next year, depending on what type of Michael Thomas we get, he has a good chance of taking the number one spot. He actually could take the number one spot right now. But at the end of the day, they don't have no one to fucking throw to him. So I doubt he's gonna choose them.
James
So
Winston.
if it comes down, and then I definitely don't think he's going to the Patriots. Like I don't think that's even happening. He's not gonna go waste his career with a young quarterback who don't know how to throw.
I agree.
So here comes the last team, and a team I think he should go to, and it should be the best spot. The Seahawks.
Wow.
And it's another conversation about Odell's skills. We got into this with my boy. I was like, all right, so now you got the Seahawks. Obviously, Russell's coming back. Just got cleared. Yep. They could be looking to pick up a little bit, couple more wins and make that playoff push. Having Metcalf, Lockett, and OBJ is perfect for them with the struggling running game right now. Obviously, like I said, Russell's coming back, or he basically is back. But here's another question. Now, obviously, DK is DK. But even with DK on the field, it's been clear for years now that Russell's favorite and most comfortable receiver is Tyler Lockett.
Right.
Here's another question. If OBJ goes on that team, he's definitely not number one.
That's tough. Right, he's not starting over Mecca, I don't think.
Starting over, is he going to be the number 3? So, I think they're going to have the 2 and put Tyler to the 3 because Tyler's a better route runner.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think Tyler's one of the best route runners in the league. You got to put Tyler Lockett there at number 3. But here's my thing with the Seahawks, though. Do they need Odell? Like, they don't need another wide receiver. They need a running back, and they need offensive linemen, and they need a defense. Do they need Odell? They needed to get Von Miller, honestly. That's what they needed to get. That's who Seahawks needed.
Brian, they're one of the teams that pretty much are trying to add any edge they can to get them not to the playoffs, but also a little bit past. I think when you have DK Metcalf, OBJ, and Tyler Lockett in the slot, Russell Wilson can literally do wonders. They've done that with no running game before, but obviously they didn't win Super Bowls like that. But they've been competitive with a slot defense in the running game. Now, Chris Carson's close to coming back, too. If they can get him back and take him off the IRs before the playoffs, that brings back a decent run. You know what I'm saying? So, obviously, I will be honest. I think the Packers are going to end up making that push. But if, like, it's who you got, not who the NFL got. It's who you got. And I got the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are going to be that one to give them a little bit more and make a little bit more sense. But at the end of the day, Packers are his top choice. And as long as Aaron's playing,
so that's my thing. I feel like the Packers gives them a better chance at like stardom, like going back to stardom. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to give him the ball. He's going to throw the ball a lot. I think you're right that Russell Wilson loves to throw it deep as well. I mean, that's why DK Metcalf has been so good as well. And having, them on each side, that would be very, very interesting to watch and very explosive too.
Yeah.
I think about the Seahawks is they need offensive line help. That's been Russell Wilson's problem all year. That's why the running game has been terrible too. I mean, obviously they've had injuries on the running game, but they haven't had that much running success. It's because their offensive line, and that's why he hasn't been able to throw it that much. I don't know. I just feel like his road back to stardom goes through Green Bay because I feel like Aaron Rodgers can get him the ball a lot more.
But even then, it also, yes, he might just be looking to sign for a year and play for a contender, but he also might look to go somewhere that he want to stay next year. And that's what I said. Green Bay not having no money and not even extending Devontae to begin with.
Yeah, you might be right.
What's going to happen next year? And obviously, Aaron's getting old too. Like, trust me, I understand he just had an MVP season, but a quarterback could lose it in a second. And I don't mean like lose as in they just suck, but like one bad injury or like one good hit away, and he's never going to be the same. So like he's getting to that age, which also might make him, I want to go and win a quick ring. So yeah, it's so many pros and cons. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna choose Seahawks though. You choose Packers. Hopefully one of us.
I think hopefully one of them. I don't want to see him in the Patriots though. I know that much.
It's got to be one of them because if it's any other choice, then it's gonna be so trash. Unless the Chiefs.
I mean, honestly, I heard Tampa Bay, and I'm like, do they need him? Like, no, they don't need him. Like, what?
Oh, boy went on TV and straight up said, "We got too many letters. I already got AB. I don't need OBJ."
Right.
Exactly. He's like, "I'm good."
They got too much.
My boy Arian said, "We out. We not doing that.
We done. We got too many weapons, bro.
I definitely think
too many weapons.
No, they got way too many. And everyone's like, I feel like just because everyone expects Tom to do Tom things, no one's really talking about them. But they're still having a great season as well. And they're sitting there 6-2, and Tom's pretty good right now. Like,
I mean, we just haven't been talking about them because they just had a bye week, so they've been kind of out of people's minds.
So honestly, it's perfect timing because our last question is actually about Kyler Murray in the MVP race. I said perfect timing because Tom Brady's in that conversation. So the last question is, can Kyler Murray win an MVP with a missed game on his record? What do you think?
That's a good question. I was thinking about this question a lot. I mean, I know I came up with this one like yesterday, and I was just thinking about it. And honestly, looking at the way that everyone else is playing, and especially the top contenders for the MVP race, I mean, obviously Derrick Henry, I think he was in the MVP conversation. He's out of it now because he's going to be gone the rest of the season. Yeah, so I feel like it's pretty much 5 quarterbacks up there for the MVP conversation. You know, Lamar Jackson, Tom Brady, Josh Allen. You know, Matthew Stafford is in there, and Aaron Rodgers and Kyler Murray would be the 6th. And I think
and Aaron both got dropped. Derek Carr is now 5th.
That's why I was just gonna say Aaron Rodgers and Kyler Murray both missed the game this week. So for me, both of them definitely are 5 and 6 in that MVP spot. I feel like right now the top 4 guys, they got to be, Lamar Jackson number 1 for sure. I would probably put Tom Brady number 2. I would put Josh Allen number 3. I would put number 4. I would put my man Matthew Stafford because he had the worst game out of all these quarterbacks this week. And then you can substitute Kyler and Aaron Rodgers at 5 and 6. And honestly, the question if he can win it with missing a game, the way that Lamar Jackson's playing, the way that Matthew Stafford's playing, the way Tom Brady's playing, I don't think so. I think that they're just playing so well right now, and their stats are so good, and their teams are playing so well. And plus, we saw that the Cardinals could win a game without Kyler. Like, they won a game without Kyler. They won a game without their best wide receiver. So, most valuable player means, like, if you're not playing on the team, how good is your team? That's really what it goes down to. For me, it's got to be Lamar Jackson. If Lamar Jackson's not there, I think the Ravens are like a 3-12 team or something, like 3-14, whatever.
So you say no?
So I say no. I don't think he can come back and win it, even though he was my pick at the beginning of the year. He was definitely my pick. I mean, of course, he could do like some crazy, amazing things, score like or throw like a few 500-yard games, which I don't think is going to happen. But I don't think he can come back the way Lamar's playing. Lamar's going to get another 1,000 yards rushing again. He's going to get over 4,000 passing. I just don't see it.
So right now, top 5 in the order is Tom Brady, Kyler Murray,
Tom Brady number 1,
Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Derek Carr. Tom Brady's hitting 2,650 yards with 25 touchdowns. He's honestly having an amazing season.
He is, but Lamar Jackson's season is amazing with the rushing yards.
If anyone takes it from Kyler, I think it'll be Tom Brady. Because now, mind you, Kyler has missed a game, and he still got more passing yards and passing touchdowns than Lamar. Now, obviously, Lamar has a rushing aspect. I get that. But at this point, even with last week's game, Lamar is tied at 3rd with Josh Allen. Like, in the ranking as it stands right now, he's not even 3rd. He's basically 4th, tied with Josh Allen. And the person who missed the game is above them with more yards.
Touchdowns. He shouldn't be up there, though. Even because he missed the game, he shouldn't be up there.
The missed game, he still got more yards than everyone else in the top 4 except for Tom Brady and Carr.
I agree with the passing yards, but rushing yards and rushing touchdowns definitely has into account. And I think that Josh Allen is is up there like for a tie with Lamar because he gets a lot of rushing yards too and rushing touchdowns. But
So,
I feel like Lamar is definitely a little bit better rusher than Kyler.
so for me, I don't think Lamar has a. I know I'm not gonna say he has a chance. Both of them basically, unless both of them have exceptional 2 to 3 games showing out, it's Tom Brady's award. Simple as that. They are 6-2, and that's another thing too. Yeah, they won without Kyler, but that's not what MVP means in these awards. Like right now, if they keep up this record, they only win 1 or 2 more games and have a better record, and he has better passing yards than everyone us except for Brady, he's winning that award.
You think so? So you think it's
it comes down to the team record. It comes down to overall stats. And for me, missing a game don't mean nothing if you're still leading two of the top 3 with that missed game.
Brady and Kyler have identical stats like from now to the end of the season. You said Brady's number 1 right now, but Kyler's like number 3 right now. So let's say they just have identical stats, but the Cardinals just have a better record. Who would win that award, do you think?
At this point, it'll be Brady because Brady right now is leading every quarterback in yards. Like he has 400 yards and
he does. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think
have the same projection. Brady will win, but that's what I said. Brady to me is the only one that can actually take it from Kyler because Lamar is probably the next best option. I don't think Josh Allen or Derek Carr or Stafford is winning any MVP. So it's basically between Brady, Lamar, and obviously Aaron. But with this COVID shit going on, Aaron's chances already exactly. No. So it is Lamar, Tom Brady, and Kyler Murray. Tom Brady is in a league of his own. Then it comes Kyler and Lamar. Kyler already has more passing yards.
Doesn't he have more receptions than Kyler?
No. So Tom has 25 touchdowns with 5 picks.
5 picks, right?
Kyler has 17 touchdowns with 7 picks. And Lamar has 13 touchdowns with 7 picks. Like I said, Tom's in a league of his own right now. So at this point, it's his award to lose. But I think if Kyler can have 1 or 2 just exceptional games, and they still end up with a better record, then it's not just if him and Tom do exactly what they're doing now, they're still going to end up in 1 and 2. But if Tyler has 1 or 2 more exceptional games and it gets to a tight race, I think he can pull it off. So I think even when that missed game, I still think he got a chance to pull off the MVP.
Wow. So yeah, I mean, so we differ on that. I mean, I don't think like with the way that the other quarterbacks are playing, like you said, Tom Brady. I just think that I'm seeing amazing things from Lamar Jackson, him coming back from games, and him getting the rushing yards that he's getting. He's gonna get another 1,000 yards rushing. That's why I'm looking at him as just a more dynamic quarterback and exciting quarterback for me. But wow, so you do think that Kyler could win it?
For me, I think. But I think as long as he has 1 or 2 exceptional performances for the rest of the year and still does what he's doing for the rest as well, he could take it from Brady. That's my point. It's going to be him against Brady. That's how it comes down to me. You're right. Lamar is in there, but Lamar's still going to be third for me.
Yeah, for me, it's Lamar and Brady.
Has Lamar won an MVP?
Yeah, last year.
Right. No, before.
What do you mean?
Last year was Aaron.
Oh, yeah, so 2 years ago. Yeah, that's right. He was the youngest MVP recipient. He was like 23 years old when he got it 2 years ago. This could be his second.
You might be right. He probably does have a good shot. But I'm still going to give the edge to Tyler because they got the better team, and it comes out of that a lot.
Yeah. No, it's interesting to hear, though. Definitely interesting to hear because for me, like, I don't know, it's just tough. Like, seeing at the end of the year, even though if you have, like, very similar stats, one guy played 16 games or 17 games, the other guy played 16, it's going to be hard for them to give it to the guy.
You're also comparing stats. You're comparing a guy who's going to have more rushing yards to a guy who's going to have more passing yards, regardless of who played less. Like, Kyler Murray still played 1 less game, and I promise you he'll still end the season with more passing yards than Lamar.
Yeah,
he could probably play another game and still end the season with more passing yards than Lamar.
Yeah, I think so. I think so, too. I think
at this point, he missed a game, and he's basically like 50 yards over Lamar.
Right. But, I mean, look at the Russia stats. Lamar is almost at, like, 800 right now.
Right. The Russian does play a part. But that's what I'm saying. Even when missed games, Kyler was always going to have more passing yards than Lamar. So, I don't know. You're right, though. Lamar is definitely in there.
He's in.
He's
He's in there, but it's definitely, I think you're right. It's between those three. I don't think Aaron has a chance anymore. I don't think that honestly, Josh Allen. I don't think he has a chance because the losses that they had, and he hasn't been very impressive as well. And I don't think that. Yeah, I think that Cooper Cup and Matthew Stafford, they're not going to get it. Even though Cooper Cup's been amazing this year, but he's just not going to get it. He hasn't been able to keep up.
So it's funny. Both of them are first and second in offensive player of the year.
Yeah, and offensive player of the year, but not an MVP, which is weird.
You're right. Yeah. So it's so weird. It really does. So yeah, they're definitely both number 1 and 2 in offensive player of the year, but neither one are in the top 5 for MVP. So
interesting question. I like that.
Yes, that was a good week. Obviously, a lot of talk about the Cardinals because obviously they had an impressive win with missing their top 2 players. So
that's true.
Just left an imprint on a lot of people. Obviously, we wanted to know, can Kyler still win MVP with that miss? And obviously, does that game show how much of a Super Bowl contender that they are? So we had those 2 conversations, and obviously, what's going on with Odell Beckham Jr. and where we think he's going. So that's different aspects. I love to hear because obviously I chose the Seahawks, you chose the Packers. Let's just pray that he goes to one of those 2 teams so his career is salvaged. At that point, don't go nowhere else because it's over. Or the Chiefs, but I just don't think the Chiefs are really even in the mix. They just have so many.
Can we talk about him possibly even picking the Panthers now that they have Cam Newton? I mean, I know we forgot, we didn't even mention them, but the Panthers did just get Cam Newton, and I mean, we could just go into, we could go into the next week games and start talking about him and start talking about if we think that he's gonna possibly start. But I mean, that's the one little tinker thing that we didn't even talk about and could switch everything.
He is hell for Cam, bro.
Me too.
Ain't no way, like he said, 32 quarterbacks was better than him in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And the Panthers, they tell, they had to. Sam Darnold's not that nigga.
He's a Super Bowl quarterback.
Definitely injured. Who they went back to? Cam. And they got CMC back. Hey, Odell ain't looking too bad. They got Robbie Anderson too as a speedy option.
It's not a runaway either. That division could be taken.
Yeah, so hey, Panthers might be calling your boy up. Like, yo, Cam might be calling your boy up. Like, come to Carolina with me, man. Let's eat some crawfish and get this shit rocking.
Yo, so, Cam, OBJ sounds right. Nice. Cam, CMC, OBJ. I like all those letters.
I know. That ain't too many letters now. We like that. No, I definitely hope Cam definitely gets a chance to revive his career. He's one of my favorite NFL players. Honestly, just football players. Like what he did at Auburn was obviously amazing. What he did when he first came into the league was obviously amazing. Like he's a force to be reckoned with. So I definitely am excited to see that. I don't think he's gonna start this week necessarily. I think they. I mean, I'll be honest. At this point, just throw the motherfucker in there. Who else you got? Just throw him in there. Like
I agree, bro. 100%.
The season's already trashed. Take some pressure off of CMC and let him go. Don't get CMC injured again trying to start another trash quarterback and run the ball down your opponent's throat.
100% agree.
That's good conversations. Wrapping up the questions, we already know what it is. Time to get the predictions for next week's game. We got a couple good ones. Obviously, we picked a few to talk about. Prime time, right off the jump, we have Thursday night. We just been talking about them. Ravens versus Dolphins. Obviously, that should be a blowout. You know what I'm saying? I don't care who the Dolphins just beat. They ain't about to beat no Ravens. So I'll tell you that was.
Okay.
Yeah. Lamar is obviously too dynamic. Like, obviously, he's top 3 MVP category. Got over 2,200 yards, 600 yards rushing. So he's definitely doing his thing. Obviously, Miami D struggles a lot against quarterbacks like that. Just in general, they're definitely ranked 30th in the league, 391 yards per game. So Lamar and company should be able to run all over them as long as they do what they're supposed to do. They did do what they did last week, Obviously, like I said, getting help from Freeman, getting help from Bell definitely takes pressure off Lamar, allows them to get. Oh, he was so close to 300 passing yards. So I'll take the 266. So obviously, as long as he can get 70 plus or 250 plus, obviously rushing and throwing with a little help from the rest of his team, They can't check Hollywood Brown at all. So I definitely think it's going to be a 41-13 blowout win uh, for the Ravens. I definitely think
Okay.
I think who I don't even know who they're starting quarterback. Oh, Tua. He's
So,
out, so
yep.
Jacoby
Start.
Brissett is next. So even then, you got a backup quarterback. So yeah,
Wow.
41-13 blowout.
That's a big blowout. That's pretty big. See, I mean, I think it's gonna be a little bit closer than that. I do think that the Ravens are gonna win for sure. I mean, one thing that we just recently talked about, before we were talking about the Ravens, I said that they need to come out strong. They need to come out big early. And I think that's one thing that they are gonna do. I think they are gonna come out early this game. I think Hollywood Brown's gonna have a huge game, probably over like 150 yards this game. I don't think that they could take him down the field. There's no way. He's just too fast for the Miami defense. I think this is a game that Lamar Jackson's going to have over 300 yards passing. Um, but my thing is, since they're playing in Miami, I do think Miami is going to score some points too. I don't think that the Ravens defense is necessarily playing amazing. Even last week against a team like the Vikings, they let in a lot of points, and you saw what they did rushing. And I think Miles Gaskins is actually a pretty decent runner for Miami, so he could definitely get over at least 80 to 100 yards. I think. So I think he will. I think he will. I think that Devontae Parker is going to play okay against the Ravens defense. Devontae Parker is the wide receiver for Miami Dolphins. What is it?
I think he's out.
Oh, he's out this week.
Yeah,
Really?
I think
that I didn't know. So
out,
that
and I'm
makes
pretty sure
that definitely makes it tougher for Tua. That definitely makes it tougher. So that actually okay. So I was gonna give him an extra touchdown. So honestly, that's gonna bring me a little bit lower. So wow. So I was gonna have it be 28-21, but now since they're gonna be out Parker, I'm gonna give this a 28-17 win for the Ravens. I do think that Miami's gonna score like 17 points though. They're gonna score a little more than 13, I think.
I give him a touchdown, 2 field goals, and Baltimore to
Well,
run
I don't
all
give
over.
him, or I just give him two touchdowns and a field goal, so it's pretty much three scoring possessions too, but just an extra touchdown instead of a field goal.
Yeah, no, for sure. But either way, I definitely think the Ravens could drop 41 easily.
They could. I need to see that from their defense. If they can stop them and possibly get like a interception return for a touchdown or even like close like interception and run it back close, then they could definitely get some more extra points. I need to see a little bit more from their defense.
Yeah, I hear you. No, but either way, obviously we both agree. The Ravens win. Ravens blowout.
Right.
I have a little bit more,
They need
but
this win to
definitely,
keep up in that division. They need that
mhm.
this
And they're
week for
definitely
sure.
gonna win and pretty much move on to 7-2. So that's
Yeah.
gonna be another good win. So we'll love that. Um, Another primetime game Sunday night we got. Honestly, this probably be the first time I finally can say that I'm not choosing the Chiefs because I just don't trust them. They're
Man.
playing the Raiders on Sunday night, and I think I'm gonna give that game to the Raiders. A very
Wow.
close game, 30-27. I'll be honest. We're just talking about the Chiefs and just having the conversations we've had. I can't even. I don't even know about them even putting up 27 at this point. They're just not looking good at all. But I'll give them a good. I keep saying we'll give them a comeback game, and then they come back and don't do shit. I'm tired of it. At this point, the Raiders are going to beat them. I'll give them 30-27, get the Raiders a close win because obviously the Raiders are a little inconsistent too. But come on, man, the Chiefs are just ridiculous. I think Mahomes, what he got, 2,500 yards, which you would think would be good, and it is, but
But with
it's
the receptions that he's throwing, it's not that good, and not that many touchdowns.
20. He only got 20 touchdowns, which is not what he's
Not
usually had. He got half of that in interception.
right.
And
10
then
interceptions
obviously
problem.
your
Yeah.
team is barely over 500 at 5-4, and you're barely averaging 280 yards a game when you're supposed to be basically the best quarterback in the league.
And the reason he's
So
doing that is because they're not running the ball at all. They're not getting no rushing. They got no rushing game really, and he's got to throw the ball.
exactly. So at this point, I don't even know what to say about the Chiefs. I'm not even gonna give this win. I'm gonna give the Raiders this win. I think it's gonna
Wow.
be a close, competitive game. Just like all the wins that Chiefs won recently were close, competitive games, even if they were against bad teams. So once again, I think this is a close, competitive game because of the Raiders' inconsistency on offense. but I think the Raiders can pull this out, and
Well,
that's why I give it a field goal win for the Raiders.
so I do agree with you. It's going to be a close and competitive game for sure. But honestly, I got it the other way. I think I saw enough from the Chiefs last week. From their defense for sure. I saw enough. I saw what I needed. They played decent against a young quarterback who didn't look impressive at all, and Jordan Love. But like I said, I saw enough for them where they stopped the running game. They stopped them from throwing deep passes. And I think that, I mean, like you said, the Raiders are very inconsistent. They just lost to the Giants. Nobody saw the Giants doing anything this year. And honestly, Giants weren't an impressive team. They played without Saquon, and they still beat the Raiders. Raiders have a lot of issues right now, obviously, with John Gruden being out, with Henry Ruggs situation. They just lost another guy in their wide receiver core who was supposedly in that situation as well with Henry Ruggs. So they're missing two of their wide receivers right now. I think Derek Carr is going to have a lot of problems against the Chiefs defense, who's looking a little bit better. Here and there, they're starting to look better in spots. I don't think that this is going to be a high scoring game though. Like I got this one a lot lower than you. I think this is going to be a 20-10 game. That's what I got it. 10 or sorry. Yeah, 20-10 or 20-13. I think I'm gonna go with 20-10. I think Chiefs are gonna do enough to stop the Raiders. The Raiders they have problems right now. The Raiders have problems. Josh Jacobs is not gonna be playing either, so I think that the Chiefs definitely have problems for sure. But like I said, I'm seeing
Carr still calling for 2,500 a game or 2,300 a game right now. No, 25. Yeah, what? Only 13 touchdowns, granted, but
that's a big problem right there. He's not throwing a lot of touchdowns. They're scoring a lot from field goals, and that's one thing that they had a problem with last week in the Giants game, is that they were going down the field, but they were scoring field goals. That happened like 3 times for them. They can't score in the red zone. I know that much. They're pretty bad in the red zone. But I think that the Chiefs, they definitely need a game that they need to step up. And I think that Edwards-Helaire is talking about coming back this week. He's back from IR.
He got off IR. They got at least one more week.
Okay, so he's on fire. He's going to be practicing, but at least he'll be back in practicing with them. And honestly, I think that this is definitely a win that they need to stay in that division race. Obviously, whoever wins this game is going to be, I think, in top of the division. So it's going to be, it's going to be a dogfight. But I just feel like I'm seeing better things from the Chiefs' defense from last week, even though they played against a quarterback that wasn't impressive. I don't think that Derek Carr is going to be very impressive this week. So I got this 20-10.
No, definitely. I can honestly see it going 20-10 the other way. Like I said, I just have no faith in the Chiefs right now. They got to show me something.
No, I see you got no faith in them. Like they just won a game.
I keep saying, like I was saying, even the win that they got wasn't even impressive. Like I'm not seeing anything I like. You can't convince me that defense wouldn't have looked absolutely trash if there was any other quarterback but freaking Love back there. They literally just, once they realized Aaron's not playing, threw away the defensive scheme and just said, we're fucking blitzing on 4 downs. As I'm saying, they put so much pressure on that man. That was basically the only way they was gonna play or win that game with that defense. But any other quarterback, they couldn't have done that, and that's why I'm not impressed with that defense or anything I see with them. So I definitely still give this to the Raiders. And I know you said the Chiefs need this one. I just don't think they're gonna get it. They're gonna go right back to 500.
I feel like if they could do that same scheme against a guy like Derek Carr gets scared in the pocket too, and he would be definitely running around for his life too.
But Derek Carr got a better offensive line.
Yeah, they definitely got better offensive line, so it's going to be tougher. But I feel like I'm not seeing a lot from the Raiders offense since the second game that John Gruden left. After that, I wasn't seeing much from them. Like the last 2 games, they haven't been impressive, the Raiders.
But hey, at this point, they've shown you more than the Chiefs showed you.
You're right. I mean, they're 2-1 since Gruden's been out of there, but two of those 3 games, their running game was atrocious, and right now they're going to be without probably 3 of their top 4 weapons on offense. Henry Ruggs is going to be out. Their other wide receiver and then Josh Jacobs is going to be out. So it's going to be tough for them to come out there and win.
Oh, they're not the only team playing unimpressive. Monday night game, we got one team that just lost a heartbreak that they shouldn't have, and another team that's basically tried out this. 49ers versus the Rams.
I mean,
I'll be honest, obviously, 49ers are actually 4-0 against y'all in the last 2 years.
no, but that's before we had Stafford.
And obviously, that's before you had Stafford. So this time around, clear favorites for the Rams. And obviously, I think that they should take it. With that rough game, I think it's going to be only a touchdown win. But it's still going to show out a little more. I think it's going to be 30-23, a Rams win. I will be honest, secondary for 49ers is absolutely horrendous. They're so bad back there. And obviously, I feel like once the Rams get one or two possession lead at that point, you got Von Miller in the lineup at this point, and just let him loose with Aaron Donald. And I think you keep applying some pressure. Yeah. So yeah, I think they got Kittle back for San Fran, but at this point, no one knows what the quarterback situation really is. Well, they got a quarterback, but he's not looking like he's supposed to.
This might be like every week. Who do you think should start for San Fran? Garoppolo or should they start Lance?
Keep it with Garoppolo, man. Just let him ride out the season. Let Lance learn some shit on the bench. At this point, you ain't got nobody else to look forward to. So,
yeah, they got no weapons.
I would say they got Kittle back, but Kittle, like when you only have a tight end, then you can't succeed like that. So, so I definitely think the Rams will take it. I think this will be a good bounce back win for them, and I think this is a game where they get a chance to showcase that defense that's new and improved.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree with you. Our defense is definitely going to need to step up this game. I think we will step up this game, especially if we're playing against Garoppolo. I mean, we've seen enough tape on him. I know that, like you said, that they're 4-0 against us last 2 years, but I feel like with a different quarterback like Stafford, we should be able to win. My only issue is that right now Stafford is questionable this game. They said that he didn't practice today, which is Thursday, the week before the game. They are playing on Monday, which is a good thing. Gives them an extra day of hopefully rest and practice. So I am hoping that he starts. If they don't start, or if he doesn't start, honestly, I'm going to have to give the game to San Francisco. I think it'll be a low-scoring game if Stafford doesn't start. But right now, I'm going to look at it like he's starting, and if he does start, I think we're going to blow them out. I think we're going to get a touchdown from Kupp, we're going to get a touchdown from Woods, and we're going to get a touchdown from Jefferson. Like you said, their secondary is terrible. Yeah, I could definitely see Stafford scoring or getting over 350 yards with 3 touchdowns easily. Like that's just something I could easily see him get close to 400. Honestly, their defense is pretty bad. So if Stafford's in the game and healthy, I think I got this 38-13. But if he's not there, then it'll be like a 13-10 game. But I'm gonna go with it as Stafford's playing. So 38-13, my Rams.
Right. Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely should be a blow-away win. Like I said, 49ers have taken this season series twice now in the last 2 years, which makes no sense. But obviously, the Rams are big improvement on their roster right now, quarterback and defense.
It didn't make sense because we were 14-2 2 years ago, and the only 2 games we lost were to the 49ers, which was crazy. You know,
even in the last 2 years, you still had a better team, but this time,
I know, like years ago,
y'all got better, and 49ers gotten worse. So at this point, you definitely should win that game.
Yeah, I mean, they were in the Super Bowl a few years ago too, though. San Fran, Garoppolo, though. So they've been decent, but like you said, they're just getting worse and worse, and hopefully we're getting better and better.
No, for sure. I keep adding, plugging up the holes where you need to, adding people to the roster. So definitely doing what you need to do. So those are obviously the primetime games, Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night. And then we always like to pick a few other games just to talk about. Next game we want to talk about, Bills versus Jets. Hometown Bills, obviously, somewhat home state Jets. But this is a game we have to talk about because the Bills just lost an embarrassing game to the Jags. And no one knows what to expect from them. And I think they just lost to the Dolphins too.
Yeah. Well, recently, no, the Bills beat the Dolphins, but they lost to the.
It was a close. They almost lost to the Dolphins, right?
Yeah.
and it was a close game, and then they did lose to the Jags, and that was even worse. Honestly, you should have lost to the Dolphins. At least you
They
could
should.
chalk it up a
Right.
rivalry, division rivalry. But yeah, that game against the Jags was so embarrassing. At the end of the day, the Jets still look trash. They don't even have a starting quarterback at this point in the season, and they just gave up 54 fucking points to the Pats.
Yeah.
You can't trust them either. So obviously the Bills are gonna come back to a good rebound game and blow the fucking Jets out 41-17. That's how I
Ooh.
got it. They're about to destroy that secondary.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to expect from the Bills, though. I mean, they played terrible against the Jags. Like, six
Amazing.
points? Scoring 6 points? Like, really? Like, their defense looked okay. I guess their defense looked, decent. They didn't allow any touchdowns. They only allowed field goals against the Jags. But it's going to be interesting to see who starts for the Jets. If it's going to be Mike White, I think that the Jets have a better chance than Josh Johnson. I just feel like there's more film out there on Josh Johnson, so people could figure him out easier than Mike White, who a lot of people in the Jets like. They look at him as the next Vinny Testaverde. He had a 400-yard game.
Bro,
But
Jets have 100% inability to choose the right quarterback.
I know that's for sure. That's for sure. And I don't know if it's going to be Zach Wilson this week because he's going to be still injured. But like I said, if it's Mike White, I give him a better shot against the Bills. I think this is going to be a tight game as well. It is a divisional game. Those are always tight for me. But I do think the Bills win pretty handily. 31-17 is my score. I think that their defense is going to play better. But I just think the Jets, they could start scoring more now that they have Mike White out there throwing the ball. He's definitely a better scorer than Zach Wilson has been showing out to be. And even Josh Johnson, honestly, has shown that he can score the ball and throw it out there more than
Yeah,
Zach.
both of them had a good performances. So I definitely see them doing a little something, but at the end of the day, the Bills defense don't play. They
They
about to get
definitely They definitely know, but it's just interesting. Like watching the Jets, like in the beginning of the year, they were scoring like 3 points, 6 points, 13 points, and now like the last 2 games, last 3 games, they had like a 30-point game, they had a 41-point game, against the Cincinnati Bengals. So they're scoring a lot more with their backup quarterbacks, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like at this point, give it up on Zach. Like y'all got to stop choosing quarterbacks in the draft. Y'all trash.
just pick up free agents, huh? Just pick up
Pick
free
up,
agents.
stop drafting quarterbacks, man. They keep wasting up so many picks, but no, that's definitely obviously supposed to be a bounce back game, comeback game for the Bills. So I definitely don't expect anything less for sure.
I agree.
Another game I want to talk about is basically the same thing. It's supposed to be a bounce back win against a team we have yet to mention all season. I was
Ooh,
literally looking at this game and I'm like, we haven't even talked about this team. And there's some trash teams out there that we talk about. But Falcons versus Cowboys.
mm,
Uh,
okay.
Obviously, Cowboys just took a tough loss. They were supposed to win, but like we said in the beginning of the show, that seemed to be a theme this week. A lot of upsets, a lot of teams that weren't supposed to be competitive coming out and doing what they supposed to, not even supposed to do, basically. But yeah, Atlanta's obviously way too inconsistent. Cowboys just took a tough loss. Obviously, Atlanta's 4-4. No one knows what they're doing. I think Cowboys are going to come out as long as Dak is 100%. They're going to pretty much blow them out. So, not much to say about this game. Obviously, there's a reason why we don't talk about the Falcons because like they're not doing much on anything. Like I said, they're 4-4. They won a game or two that they shouldn't have won, but in the end, they also lost another game or two that they shouldn't have lost. So they're really looking inconsistent on both sides of the ball. Obviously, Cowboys are one of the top teams in the league right now, playing great and prolific on both sides of the ball. So as long as Dak comes back real 100%, even if he don't, man. But either way, I still gonna give it a 38-23. Cowboys win as long as Dak is 100%. If not, score a big little boy.
So yeah, this game it's interesting because last week Atlanta Falcons when they were winning and they were scoring field goals, the announcers were saying, yeah, this is the first time they're scoring field goals in American soil because they didn't score field goals all season. And when they played in London, that's the only other time they won and they scored field goals. So it's obviously tough for them to score Atlanta. And it might be even tougher because Calvin Ridley doesn't look like he's going to come back this week for them. So I feel like they need him. They got they're starting to to actually show that they have weapons on offense. Matt Ryan, he can always throw the ball like around 300 yards a game, but they usually don't show like much. But last week they definitely showed a little bit. I definitely saw a little bit from them in their win, which is what you needed to see. Obviously, they won on a last second field goal with Young Hoku, but they were able to come back in the game. They were down. And then obviously, like you said, the Cowboys lost the game where nobody really thought that they should lose. It was a week for a lot of upsets, and I don't think that this week is going to be a lot of upsets. I think that the Cowboys are going to come back and win this game. I think that Atlanta's going to come back to life. There's a reason that they're this bad. Their defense is not that good, and honestly, neither is the Cowboys. The Cowboys' defense is not that great, other than Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs, he has like 5 interceptions by himself. But if you look at the Cowboy defense as a whole, they let a lot of yards, and they let a lot of touchdowns in. So that's definitely an issue for them. And I feel like Atlanta is the type of team that could score, but this is the type of game that Dallas could win easily as long as they run the ball and they run it effectively. And if Zeke runs it, over 100 yards this game, then I can honestly see this being a 14-point game. I can see this being 34-20.
Yeah, I definitely see that. Obviously, uh, I see the Falcons doing a little something. Cowboys are gonna kind of be a little slow, I can tell, especially after last week. But definitely should be a easily 2 possession win for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think so too. I think 2 possession win. They should come back to earth and win this one.
Mm-hmm. For sure, for sure. So that's definitely versus Bills and the Cowboys, 2 teams that took a tough loss that have a good chance of coming back and getting some wins against some pretty trash teams. So definitely hope that happens for them. Definitely want to see that happen. But let's talk about the last game we got on the bracket for today. And we already mentioned both these teams. We got Cardinals versus Panthers. Obviously, 8-1 Cardinals. Kyler Murray should be back. But another hot topic right now. Cam literally just got signed back to the Panthers today, a few hours ago. So no one knows if he's even going to be the one starting right now. Because obviously, that's a big development in any storyline when it comes to that team. Obviously, the CMC also back in the mix. You even mentioned maybe OBJ might be an option, so who knows? But at this point, even with Cam, because I think Cam got to take a little bit to get going, I unfortunately do think it's going to be a blowout win. I mean, the Cardinals are just too nice. Like I said, I might not even think Cam might not even play. They have nothing to lose by putting him in, truthfully. But I don't know what they're gonna do. So I still think the Cardinals could win easily by 2 touchdowns. Obviously, 31-21, or maybe even 31-13, depending on who's playing at quarterback. Because if it's not a decent quarterback there, it's honestly not going to be a good game for the Panthers.
You think even if Cam that the Cardinals win?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay.
Cam ain't gonna go out there and beat the best team in the league right there. I wish. I wish. Trust me, I fucking Cam.
I like to see that. I like to see that from that man too. But
if Cam came back first game in the league after niggas done wrote him off and basically took out the Cardinals, yes, I would love that. But I don't think that's gonna happen. So I definitely think the Cardinals gonna win, scoring 30+ points. Depending on if Cam's playing or not, they can get up to 20, 21. But if not, then they're probably just gonna score 1 or 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how Kyler Murray looks coming back from the injury. I think he should be fine, but DeAndre Hopkins is my issue. It doesn't look like, well, nobody knows if he's going to play or not. Right now, right now it looks looking like he's not going to play. I mean, he's questionable. They're saying that he's going to be a game time decision. So if he does play, I think that it's going to be an easy blowout. But for me, I think that the Panthers, they're playing a little bit better with CMC. They're going to play a lot better. They haven't had him in the lineup the last 4 games. They just started. They put him in last weekend. He had like 70 yards. He was just starting to come back in a little bit, and he was on a pitch count. So now that they're actually going to probably give him the ball 20 times, I think that it gives them a better shot to win the game. But like you said, I mean, whichever quarterback it is, I probably only give the Panthers a shot. If it's Cam, I give him probably like a 30 to 40% shot to win. If it's Sam Darnold, then maybe like a 10% shot to win. So honestly, it's gonna be the Cardinals by 20 to me. If it's not Cam Newton, if it's not Cam Newton, it's gonna be 30-10. I don't see them scoring much. Yeah, those defenses that good. Like you read off the stats earlier, you pretty much read them off very well. Like they don't allow touchdowns.
CMC, it's over.
Right, they don't allow touchdowns and they don't allow much rushing yards as well. So they're very good at that. But if it's Cam Newton, I could see Cam Newton scoring an extra 10. So it could be 30-20. But if it's not Cam Newton, I think 30-10 is my score. Easy, 30-10. And that's what I'm going to go with, 30.
I not Cam Newton. I got 31-13.
Right.
So obviously, definitely still a blowout. Maybe another field goal on top of that 10. So I definitely think if there's no Cam, they just hone in on CMC and it's over.
That's a fact. No, I totally agree with you. It's going to be an interesting game, though. I mean, like we both agree that if Cam Newton does play, he gives him a way better shot.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I wouldn't even be mad. Like I would actually I really kind of hope. Like I would really hope he come in and beat the car. Like let them niggas know I'm here. I'm back, baby. And I told you, ain't no 32 niggas in the league better than me. That's what he said, and he meant it.
That'd be nice to see. Just that defense is, they're tough. Chandler Jones, and you got J.K. Watt.
It's rough that Cam's going to come in here and just start slinging the ball and keep up with the
Yeah. That's going to be a tough one, man. But it's going to be a great week of football. I mean, I'm so excited this week because last week, obviously, like we said, so many upsets. This week, teams are hopefully going to start coming back into the mix, and we'll start seeing some of the top competition play. And this was definitely an interesting episode. I want to thank you guys for listening to this episode. And I want to let you guys know that if you want to watch us on Facebook or on YouTube, we're going to put the episode up on there. And if you want to listen to it, we'll be everywhere, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we want to, thank you for watching. And if you guys have any questions, please, let us know on social media.
Of course, we love the fan interaction. We love the support. We love everything you guys give us, man. We've been growing so much in the last few months. I think we're close to half a year in it, or just past half a year at this point. And obviously, we're getting in the midst of it with a lot of sports happening right now. So we're gonna keep trying to give you the content you love, and we just keep loving what you guys give us in return. So thank you.
That's right. So really appreciate you guys listening to Who You Got with
Mello
and Rado. We'll see you guys on next time.
Peace.